You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All-Star Season 5, Episode 3, titled Get a Room. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by the goddess of guts, gold, and glitter from the Bloody Podcast Network. Please say...
Meow, meow, bitches.
To Lauri Roggenkamp. Hello, Lauri Roggenkamp.
Hello.
You know, usually when we're plugging Just Between Us Girls, it's always like, oh, you got to go to Just Between Us Girls. Lauri talked about her trip to Kohl's. Joe ate a steak sandwich. And you're always like, what the fuck? Why the fuck would I want to listen to Just Between Us Girls? I'm going to say this might be the first Just Between Us Girls in a long time that was 100% about a drag-related topic about Alexis Mateo getting hate on social media.
Yeah.
And by the way, the argument is not what you think it. I actually thought, to be honest with you, I thought it was a really good episode Just Between Us Girls.
I liked it. I feel like I went too far down this anger spiral, but
oh my god, guys! Lauri literally said that if anybody came up to her, she would tell them to go fuck themselves.
I did. I said that.
Yeah.
I said I would say something. I say go fuck yourself to somebody. Find out who.
Yeah, find out who on Just Between Us Girls. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. And you just got to join at the premium level. Isn't it that much money?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. And you also get more shows at the premium level,
You get so many fucking shows. It is insane how many... I don't know how people are listening to all these shows, Lauri. And I'm not being funny to sell this or anything like that. I really don't know how these people listen to all the shows we put out.
I don't know either, because I got to be honest, I don't think I've listened to podcasts, like a full episode of a podcast, in 3 months.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think it's funny that we're like promoting podcasts, and I'm like, I would, if I was you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, you know what it is because I generally listen to podcasts when I'm driving. So
yes.
I actually got to listen to a podcast this morning. I listened to the first response from last night. Where I was on with you on the first response. Lauri was driving the show, but I was just a guest because Rob was celebrating Juneteenth. And so, it was a fun time.
Fun.
Lauri kept cutting people off. I don't know why, but...
yeah, okay.
But that's another show on Patreon where Lauri...
That's another show.
...threatened to follow a baby.
I didn't... No, I say I follow babies. I've done this many times. And my girlfriend has asked me to stop. Because we'll be walking somewhere and there's a baby and I just turn and follow it. So I'm like, that baby's so freaking cute.
You find out about that in the first response. Also, anytime... Lauri would ask a million questions, and anytime I asked a question, she would hang up on them.
Because you always wanted to go... Your only question is, so you're here with the goddess of improv and stand-up comedy. What do you have to say? And the person's like...
100% of the time they were like, I can't believe I'm on the air with Lauri Roggenkamp. This is my dream come true. No,
because they've all been on the air with me before. Save 2 people who were great. But yeah, I want Tom to just post. I want to go to an Instagram of just Tom's baby and see just picture after picture. That baby was so freaking cute.
I think Tom was frightened by us. I'm not going to lie. Did you hear him say, because Tom lives in Australia and he has a really cute baby? And I go, hey, did you know that Lauri doesn't create Australian accent? And he goes, I like this Sydney guys. Didn't like the accents very much.
Which it's funny you mention that, because I think this is now another version of Just Between Us Girls. But it's funny you mentioned that because later on, I was talking to Star and I was like, then what part of Sydney Gaze did he like?
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing. But you articulated it better than I did.
I feel like all we do is actually like...
Yeah, I think the whole show from start to finish, I will say the first 30 minutes we don't do it. I do not. The first 30 minutes of episode 1, we don't do it. And then it's like minute 32.
That's the only episode he's ever heard.
Yeah, minute 32. It's like from there to the end of the series, it's us talking about Timmy Trumpet and all this shit. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
For all this hilarity, go to patreon.com/afterthought media and hear Lauri hit on Dee Dee like nobody's business. But you were hitting her for your brother, though.
Yeah, my brother's single. So, ladies.
All right, let's
hit
jump
me up or hit him up.
All right, let's jump right into the episode. This week for the Maxi Challenge, the queens are teamed up by random draw to create their own signature hotel suites. On the runway, the category is 3 looks in 1. Blair and Mayhem win the Maxi Challenge, but Jujubee is named the All-Star of the Week. In the bottom, RuPaul placed India, Shay, and Mariah. On the main stage, RuPaul reveals Monet Exchange as this week's lip sync assassin. Jujubee tries her best, but ultimately, Monet Exchange wins the round. She pulls the lipstick from her bra and reveals that the third eliminated queen is Mariah Paris Balenciaga. Lauri Roggenkamp named 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not.
I will say I loved... Well, here... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My things have a caveat to them.
Sure.
Because I loved the challenge. I actually really loved the challenge.
Sure.
I wish there was more.
Great.
I wish we could have seen more.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the looks.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish that, I don't know, I wish that they had been more eleganza. Like, I would have loved it if it was more like they were more fanciful.
Sure.
My one critique is actually a question for you, which is, does All Stars usually not have a mini challenge?
I'm trying to remember. I know there was a season, I feel like it was season 9, where they only had like 1 mini challenge or 2, like the really famous ones. But it's not unusual to not have a lot of mini challenges.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to change my con then, because I was wanting to have mini challenge, because I do kind of like the mini challenges.
Mm-hmm.
My one thing I didn't like was, like people were saying about, oh God, I forgot her name. Last week, the lip sync assassin, they thought that maybe she wasn't trying.
Alyssa Edwards.
I felt that way about Jujubee.
Oh,
Jujubee didn't know the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't really doing anything. There was a moment where I want to find and put on my Instagram or something where Jujubee and Monet Exchange are like near each other, and Monet Exchange is dancing next to her, and Jujubee looks legit terrified.
Yeah.
Like she looks scared.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I just didn't feel like Jujubee was trying at all.
It's so funny that you say that, because just by everyone should know we're recording this on the weekend of Father's Day, and there's a lot going on this weekend. And so I usually record another Afterthought show called The Pit Crew, where we have 2 straight guys who watch RuPaul's Drag Race and I guess sort of bet on it like they would sports, is the best way to put it. And we usually do it on Saturday night. And we had to do it very early Saturday morning today. And so I already have their thoughts, which is unusual for this show. And what's funny is, to go with what you said, is they think, and it's so funny because for people who are listening, they are not experienced Drag Race watchers. This might be their 2nd season, 3rd. And they said, this is actually their 1st season of All Stars, I'll even say. This is their 1st season of All Stars. They said that they think that Juju intentionally threw the lip sync because it was better for her politically that she wouldn't have to send somebody home. Does that make sense? So in the workroom, she wouldn't have to send home a beloved queen. We don't know I don't know. I haven't watched Untucked yet, even though we'll probably find out who. Can somebody in the chat room tell me who Jujubee voted for? I think they'd tell you in Untucked. But
the only thing I will say is that you eventually find out.
Yeah.
So even if it didn't, I mean, do you think that maybe she did that because Juju had Mariah. So, I mean, it just seems kind of, I don't know. Somebody in First Response, the Patreon show last night, mentioned this kind of similar thing where they think that they did that, and then also that Mariah was voted for because she was the one who was the most threat, but was not career suicide if she got voted off.
Yeah, that was a very, very good point. And I want to, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's come back to this.
Sorry.
Well,
okay.
No. I was the one who led the way. But the point is that the pit crew boys agreed with you. The pit crew boys feel that Juju threw the lip sync. So
I mean, it's one of those things where she either threw it or it was like an Alyssa Edwards thing last week where they edited it to make it look like she didn't do
I'll
a very
be
good
honest
job.
with you. Again, can people in the chat room remind Lauri to tell me to get into this later? But I honestly think because I go down the conspiracy theory route. And as we know, the producers know exactly which queens picked which lipstick. I mean, they're fucking filming them, right?
Yeah.
And I think they use that information to whisper into Rue's ear who should win. But I think with this year, with the lip sync assassin, they can work with the assassin to tell them whether or not to go ham. So they probably told Alyssa, because I was surprised Alyssa did no death drops or anything. No shablams, she was kind of tame. Maybe they told Alyssa, we need Shay to win. Okay, so we need you to pull back. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
For whatever reason, even though it was unanimous vote for Angina, they wanted it to be that Shay won. Because, you're right, Alyssa gave it a very muted performance for who Alyssa Edwards is.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
But anyway, so we'll deal with that when we get to it. Okay. Name two. Okay, so two things about the episode. I'll be honest with you, and I've been feeling a lot of this way with All Stars, is I feel that the season is fine. It kind of reminds me of Drag Race UK. I have no complaints about it. This season, did you watch last year's All Stars, Lauri, where they did
off and on?
Okay.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it.
So they had to do a similar challenge last year where they had to make a club. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even really like that challenge that much, but I felt that was something the queens were more used to. It makes sense. Drag queens are often asked to host a night at a club, so they would kind of know how to do that. But how do you present a hotel? It's the same challenge, but now it's a hotel. Like, when are drag queens ever, when are anybody saying, this is my hotel, here's why you should come to my hotel?
Yeah, also, I did think it was weird because it wasn't even a hotel, it was a hotel room. Mm-hmm. It was like, wouldn't you usually show different rooms, and they were just kind of showing one room? So it was like, here, come to my hotel room. Yeah. Which I get, you can't obviously show a whole hotel. I'm not dumb. But here's the thing. I think the structure of the competition was flawed, but overall, I like that kind of stuff. I would have loved to see them do more of the creative stuff. I would have loved to see them going and figuring out design and picking paint colors and stuff, but you didn't really see them do a lot of that. You just kind of saw them show up, and it was like they had a paint by numbers kind of thing where they were told what to do and they did it.
It's funny that you say that. Again, I would highly recommend everyone listen to the Pit Crew this week, even if you don't usually listen, because Alex and Philip have experience with painting and that kind of stuff. And they were, when we were watching it live together, I am telling you, more than anything I've ever seen in my entire life, when they went from the eliminate, so they saw the part where the girls were in the outfits so they don't get paint on themselves, and they saw them, they were already laughing. They're like, they don't even know how to pull the roller, And then we have Elimination Day segment, and then we have the actual finished product. When they opened up after the commercial on the finished product, they were beside themselves with laughter. Beside themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were like, in no way did these girls paint these walls. That some of these walls required such skill that you needed to be a professional painter to do what was going on in these rooms on the walls.
Well, that's like the wall that Jujubee was painting, remember?
Yeah.
And then what's her face said, "This is why your makeup's all jacked up."
Yeah.
That was funny. I like that. But then they show it later, and my aunt was like, "There was no way that paint would have dried that way. There was no way it would have been so splotchy and so like there was no way that it would have dried that way."
Well, what's funny is I think it's in the Golden Girls room on what would be screen left, your right, on their stage left. Okay. On that wall, there are 3 different like rainbow colors or something, right? And they seamlessly blend from like blue to purple to orange to yellow. Like they are like that to do that takes such skill. Also in the gold room, okay, there's very, very clear, like, first of all, they said the texture on the gold with the walls is very difficult to do. A professional painter would know how to do that, but not like a person who doesn't know how to do it, right? And then, if you remember, there's like a straight black bar in the middle, and they were saying, like, to get the paint that straight, like, to do everything, that's a professional painter does that.
Yeah.
So they were...
and that's...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And that's the thing that I find frustrating about the episode was that, like, it's exactly last week's episode. There's no way. I mean, there's that YouTube video of them putting the audio that they sang in the stage to the actual song, and it didn't match up. There's no way that this match. So they're doing it. So it's like either why not show us why not do it? Why not show us like? I feel like you guys are lying to us and you're peeing on my leg and telling me it's raining.
Yeah.
You know I don't know.
I want to give credit where credit is. I forgot that producer Luke Stamen is a professional painter, and he's in the chat room saying 1000% was not those queens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyways, it's just frustrating. The thing is I like those design challenges. I love it. I would love to watch them actually do it and see how it turns out. And I feel like it's like they couldn't show the queen's flaws. They couldn't show them not being able to do it. So instead they just showed them kind of attempt it. And then they showed like an end product that somebody else worked on.
But that's exactly...
It just seems kind of fake to me.
The Pit Crew boys made the same point you did. Like, wouldn't it be great to see what people who don't know what they're doing, what they actually put together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Because it was the whole thing then was, and what's funny is, again, the Pit Crew boys were on point this week. They made a funny point too.
You guys really should listen to the Pit Crew instead of
Patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia, the Pit Crew this week. No, but this is a really good point. I don't want to steal their points because people will then hear it later and go like, wait, Joe just stole everything they say. So they didn't do the rooms. Fine, whatever. But then they made the point, then why are the characters and their jokes so bad? Like, you had all this time, apparently, then, to work on that.
It seemed like they were improvising most of their stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was like, like Cracker on the phone. First off, like, I mean, look, I like the concept of the room, but the idea of, like, it was like almost like Cracker thought this was like a nursing home. Yeah. Like, it was like, why would you be calling your grandkids at a hotel? Like, it just seems so weird.
What's funny is it seemed like people who said, oh, yeah, I'm a fan of the Golden Girls, but then didn't know anything about the Golden Girls. Because, like, they just knew that there was a slut. Right? Because, and because there were some really good points. Shay as Dorothy says, picture this, or, but that's, and everyone knows Sophia's line. But then also, Rose, you would think we'd have Rose saying stupid shit. She didn't say stupid shit. She was just an old Jewish lady. You'd think you'd have Dorothy with witty comebacks. No, she's an old lady. And you're right. They talk about being old ladies. What's funny about the Golden Girls, once again, another Patreon plug, we have Shady Pines, where myself, Mike Lawson, and Joey Buhecker recap every episode of The Golden Girls. And that's available, by the way, at the basic level. $3 a month. And you're getting Shady Pines, right?
This is a Patreon infomercial.
It's a Patreon infomercial. It's like BetterHelp last week. It's going to be Patreon. So, but what's funny is that the Golden Girls, for the most part, with only the exception of a few episodes, don't play as old ladies. They play as just contemporaries who could be any age. And that's actually the role of why Sophia is there, is to sort of be like the older person, the wiser person. So, like, they don't actually, the Golden Girls, very rarely are they like, we're old, we're old. Our grandkids, in fact, they don't want their grandkids to call. You never hear about the grandkids. Rarely do you ever hear about them. Unless they're featured
it's
in
always
episode.
a surprise when they show up.
Yeah, it's always like, they never talk about them. We just saw an episode where Dorothy goes to the hospital. And I was like, no one's calling the kids or her grandkids. It's just like the Golden Girls are there for her, in support of her at the hospital. No one ever calls any relatives.
So I trampled on you. So you said, what were your 2 things that you liked and your 1 thing you didn't like? Sorry, I totally cut you off.
Lauri.
What?
I was hoping to distract that. I didn't have that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Write down the timestamp.
Okay. That's all right. I'll tell you what. I really lived for the drama. I know this is the thing. I know there are a lot of people who don't like it when the show's dramatic, but I love the drama between Alexis and, I'll be honest with you. You know who is a fucking national treasure on this show from a reality show standpoint? And I don't think I've ever seen anyone do this so consistently on the show. Jujubee.
Jujubee was great. I did love in the beginning when she was like, when Alexis was like, we need to see who the fake people are, and and Jujubee was like, I smell some bullshit.
Well, also,
she's like, I smell some fakery.
Or also when Alexis says, "Girl, this is my second language," and Jujubee looks at the camera and she's like, "Girl, second language," like what? And also, I mean, she is having fun. What she's doing that is so brilliant. I'm telling you, whether she wins the crown or not, whether she goes home tomorrow or goes all the way to the end, Jujubee has won the season. Because what she's doing,
she's great.
What's really important is she is connecting to the audience as like, I am your eyes and ears in the workroom. And I'm breaking the fourth wall, and I'm playing with the construct of this game, but still playing within it. She's playing within the construct, but she sees it for what it is. And so, like, for instance, a perfect example was she knows there's going to be that dramatic music when she picks a name, right? And so it plays that dun 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 dun, and she walks up very dramatically, and we see her being very dramatic with it. But on the ADR and the confessional, she's saying, "You want to know what my mind is on?"
Yes.
I'm thinking about my cats. Like she's like. So it's funny because she is playing the part of a reality television personality, and she's giving the editors exactly what she wants. She is the narrator of the season. She's the
like
one that
Deadpool.
comments. She's like Deadpool. You're right.
She's like Deadpool for the Drag Race. She knows that this is a competition.
Yeah.
She's the only one who knows that this isn't.
Lauri is referencing a comic book character who's aware that he's in a comic book and that he's a superhero and that he breaks the fourth wall often.
Yeah. So here's my only critique with that. And I think I know what you're going to say to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Jujubee had, now she didn't win the lip sync. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not saying that it did happen.
Yeah.
But Jujubee had an opportunity to really stir up some shit by voting for Shay, and she didn't. So I personally am like, I wish that she had voted for Shay, because I feel like that would have added extra drama and would have made it so much richer.
No, because what I would argue, and this is what I will argue later, is that Jujubee is playing three-dimensional chess. And she realizes that there is a world outside of that workroom, and that there are consequences for behavior for those 3 weeks they're in the room, or 2 or 3 weeks they're there, that there are consequences in the real world for any decision she makes there. And she would rather be more of a Iago-like character. She'd rather be a Greek chorus and play it very safe. Because even if she doesn't win, and she goes as far as possible, and she comes out unscathed, that is better for her career, because she's funny, she's lovable, she's personable. She may not have the crown, but she'll make, if you look, Katya didn't win any of these fucking seasons, right? But she
Yeah.
has made more than $100,000. The $100,000 is pocket change. If what you can do if you're popular from the show. The crown is irrelevant. The crown is irrelevant as long as how you come off on this show.
I see what you're saying.
And I feel Jujubee
Okay.
so far is doing a brilliant job of using this show for what it should be as a platform to launch her into the stratosphere. I think she's iconic. Okay, Lauri. All right. Well, I said my piece. All right.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I see what you're saying.
You better fucking agree with me, or I will fucking go down there, and I know where you live.
You'll tell me to go fuck myself.
I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. After Angina's elimination, after the group congratulates Shay for her win, she reveals the result of the group vote. The vote was unanimous for Angina. In fact, even Angina voted for herself. Mariah talked about her anxiety at the thought of going home. Blair asks Shay how it feels to have beaten Alyssa Edwards in a lip sync. And Alexis Mateo reveals she sees Shay as her biggest threat. Lauri, what were your thoughts on that? Everything that happened after the previous episode. What were your thoughts there?
I wanted to, I don't know if we need to dive, because we kind of did talk a lot about this last time, but Angina voted for herself.
Yeah.
That to me, I don't know why, but that irks me. And I've been really trying to figure out, I feel like it's more of a sympathy thing.
Okay.
It's like, why didn't she just quit the show? Why did she vote? You know, like, why go through all the rigmarole and the pomp and circumstances getting voted off when you're just going to quit the show? You know?
So I have an answer. Years ago, I used to hire for the company The Princeton Review. I'd hire new teachers. And we warned the people this. Every time you interviewed, you got a warning, you were prepared. In fact, the way I did it was to give them extra warning. I wanted no one to be surprised. But we expected you to come in and teach something non-academic for 5 minutes. That was the first round of the interview. Okay?
Okay.
And so we would do it in big groups, so probably like 10 people at a time. All right? And we bring in these 10 people, and it would be varying levels of success. People were horrible, some people were great. Okay? And I remember specifically one time there was one where like the first 2 or 3 people were really good. Okay? And this young man asked if he could use the restroom. And I said, yeah. And he left, and he never came back. Okay? And he had a lot of preparation. He knew what was expected of him. We didn't spring this on them. And so I think he prepared whatever he prepared, sat in the room, watched. He didn't know how many positions were open, but sat and watched these people and realized his wasn't nearly as good, and was, I'm going to peace out. And peaced out. Okay? And I feel Angina has been campaigning for years to get on All-Stars. In fact, from even All-Stars 1. All-Stars 1, she drove the girls around in a van. It was so humiliating, right? And I think she was so busy campaigning to get on All-Stars that she didn't realize that the show and her had gone in different directions. Not saying that her drag is bad. She's a very competent drag queen. But the show
I love her. Yeah.
The show isn't what it was 12 years ago. It's changed. And she has not changed in the same way that the show has. It doesn't mean she hasn't evolved. It doesn't mean she isn't good. She has just evolved on a different path than the show. And I think she got in there, went through all of this nonsense, got in that room, did the first episode, and was like, this show is not right for me. I should not have been. I should not be here.
Yeah.
So.
I think you're true. I think you're right. But my thing is, to me, I think that a more noble thing is to go out. If she wanted to do that, if she wanted to leave, say, hey guys, like I have wanted this so badly, but I realize that it's just not for me. It's just not something I'm equipped to do. I'm going to bow out. I'm going to go home. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. And instead, she tells people to send her home and then votes for herself, even though she claims she still wants to be there.
So I I'm going to tell you right now, that might be producer driven. So in All Stars 2, Adore Delano does exactly what you just said. They have the first episode, and this came out later, but Raven Simone, who strangely got married this weekend, Raven Simone, what we don't know, what we find out way later, and you guys, so listening, you may not know this, because the way the show made it appeared that Adore was very angry with Michelle, that Michelle was too hard on her. What we later found out from Adore in interviews and other people, that it wasn't Michelle, but Raven Simone was the guest judge that episode. And I guess what we didn't see, they didn't air it, Raven Simone went in hard on Adore. To the point where Adore was like, fuck this. Because at the time of All Stars 2, Adore was the big fucking star on the show. Okay? She had some music breakout, and she was the breakout star. It's not the case anymore, but at the time she was. And I think she was like, I'm a big fucking star. What the fuck am I doing here? And she pieced out episode 2. Okay? And Rue tried to convince her to stay. The producer tried to convince her to stay. Michelle drove down, tried to convince her to stay. This may have happened. I don't know. But this may have happened on the show. But Ongina doesn't have the wherewithal to stand up to the producers. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe they were like, just stay and we'll make sure you leave. Right? But I think maybe Ongina did do that. Here's the thing, though. And I've said this in the past. If Adore was miserable, she should have just thrown in the towel and just, instead of quitting, set it up so that she was sent home, and gone out on top and not a quitter. But I don't know.
I disagree with you, though.
Okay.
I feel like there's more power in just saying I'm out.
Okay, and I don't want to do this. I could be wrong,
but I could see what you're saying with wanting not maybe the narrative of the show might be changed to where it might look bad, and so maybe that's what she was thinking. But to me, like, I don't know.
But that's
I just feel like it's like
that's what the producer. You have to remember, the producers are not your friend. You think they are, but they're not your friend. They make you think they're your friends, but ultimately, and maybe they are, maybe they do genuinely like you, but their job is to make the best possible television show. Somebody quitting puts them in a position because the drama of the show builds up to ultimately someone being sent home. And they have a set number of queens for a set number of weeks. So if someone quits, that means they have to do a double Shantae. And in this atmosphere, how do you do a double Shantae? The way they set up the rules. So they have to.
That's true.
There's probably very plausible that Ongina said, I'm not right for this. I want to quit. And the producers were like, bitch, just fucking go through it. We'll make sure you go home. But we have to have you go home.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Because they could, when they, the way that they had, okay. I see what you're saying.
So really quickly. Because we'll probably, why don't we bring this up now? We'll talk more about it later during the fight. But it's here first that Alexis and Ms. Cracker get into it. What's funny is it starts with Mayhem rolling her eyes at Miss Cracker, explain away a reason why she told Ongina what she did the episode before.
Well, doesn't it start with Alexis flat out asking, why did you come for
oh, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Okay, so yeah. But
and then Cracker tries to explain it, and then Mayhem just sort of rolls her eyes.
Yeah. But what did you think of that moment? I mean, we're going to get into it later when we get into it when Alexis and Cracker have that showdown. But what did you think? Did you think Cracker was telling the truth? Did you not think she was telling the truth, or what was going on here?
Well, long story short, I feel like it was super produced.
Okay.
Super produced.
Fair.
But, here's the thing. I get Miss Cracker. I get her. Do I think that she's right? No. But she's just a very, anxiety-ridden perfectionist. And I think that bleeds into other people. So when she sees somebody do something that she herself is feeling, she comes at that person because she confronts it. So I think she saw in Ongina this low confidence, doesn't feel like she belongs, and she feels that in herself. So instead of saying, which I feel like was what Miss Cracker wanted to say, which is you deserve to be here, you were picked to be here, do the competition. She instead says, I wish I had whiteout, and she makes it this whole other, kind of lame thing where I feel like she thought that this was going to be a rallying cry for angina, and it turned out to be the opposite. So I think when Miss Cracker says, I wish I had said it differently, I think she truly means it. But I don't think she wishes that she had not said it.
I see.
And so I think that Mayhem and Alexis are looking for like more of an apology of like, I shouldn't have said it. And the fact that Miss Cracker was like, no, I don't wish I hadn't said it. I wish I had said it differently. I think that doesn't. But to be honest with you, Mayhem, I feel like is not. She's kind of annoying me. You know, she has this holier than thou, higher, you know, high and mighty kind of attitude, and she's kind of middle ground right now. She's not really. She's not in Alexis Mateo's league. She's not in any of the top. She's like middle. And I feel like she could be one of the next people to go. And I don't feel like she's in the right to kind of start criticizing other queens about how they want to play the game. So I don't know.
That's a really good point. Well, I think Mayhem and Angina go way back. You know, Mayhem's been a queen for a long time. Angina's been a queen for a long time. They're both from the LA area. They've probably known each other. So she's staying up for her friend. But I'm trying to put myself in Ms. Cracker's shoes and think about A, where she was coming from when she first said it, and B, because sometimes we believe the lies we tell ourselves. So I'm not even saying necessarily that Ms. Cracker was lying, as much as I think that that's what she told herself, because nobody wants to see themselves as the villain in their own story. But why she initially said that to Angina, I don't think I'll ever know. It is really weird. If we're assuming that it wasn't just a producer literally saying, say this to Angina, I'm still trying to think about it. Maybe I will. But before we do, Lauri, let's take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
All right, and we are back from the break. Ugh, Lauri, it's so funny, these breaks. You know, people think they're a really long time, but they're only like a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
We just
I feel like I took a breath.
Yeah. It's literally, I go, we'll be back right after. Well, let's do it the way it really is in real life, Lauri. It's like, we go, and we'll be back right after this. 1, 2, 3. And we're back. So because you guys sometimes hear a commercial, and so you think, oh, Joe and Lauri are sitting there patiently during the commercial. No, we take a breath.
Or you might even think like, oh, Joe and Lauri went off and did their own thing. Joe took a nap. Lauri went to a Father's Day party with her family. Yeah. No, that's not at all.
Joe played Animal Crossing for 4 hours and went Anyway, let's get back into this. All right. The next day, after Shay reads Angina's mirror message, the queens gather at her work table, and Alexis asks Miss Cracker why she came for Angina last week. Cracker apologizes, Mayhem doesn't buy it, and Jujubee thinks Alexis is playing head games. Next, RuPaul entered the workroom to announce this week's Maxi Challenge.
In this week's Maxi Challenge, you'll be starring in the hottest new hotel design show, Shantae, Enjoy Your Stay. Now, working in teams, you need to design and present your own signature suites worthy of a 5-star boutique hotel.
RuPaul announced that the teams were previously determined by random draw. By the way, do you believe this random draw in any...
No.
It's like, I don't know if, we're recording this on Saturday, and Trump had that rally today,
Oh, okay.
And you remember they were saying like millions of people registered, they were to like fight him off at the door and stuff like that?
Yeah.
They haven't even filled the arena. The upper bleachers are empty. And they had an overflow area for an overflow crowd. They had to close it down because there was no overflow crowd. and they're blaming it on all the protests that the people who wanted to go were scared by all the protests. There was one lady who protested. There are a couple hundred who showed up a little bit of ways away, but nowhere where they're going to block people from showing up. Travis in the chat room just said something. Do you keep your lip balm in your bra like an Alters keeps their lipstick?
Oh, yeah. I have
Wait.
a lip balm and eye drops.
Wait, hold on for a second. How much? Wait, I was reading, so I didn't see this. How much?
And then I have my ear cleaner in my pocket, but sometimes I keep it in my bra.
How much shit do you have in your bra?
Just my eardrops, eye drops, and my lip balm.
Where does it?
Sometimes I'll keep cash in the other one.
Wait. Hold on. You keep cash in your bra?
Yeah, just in case if I'm not like wearing like if I don't have a fanny pack or a backpack, or if I'm just like going out for a hot minute, I'll just keep cash in my bra. So
when you go to the AM/PM or wherever you go, the 7-Eleven,
yeah,
and you are buying a pack of Big League Chew, you will reach your I'm doing it right now on video. You'll put your hand, you'll put it in, you'll take out your sweaty $5 bill with your boob sweat and hand it to them.
There's no boob sweat. It's on the top of my bra. I'm just going one place. Usually I'll take it out before I go into the store. Would you still be decent if you were to show me where it is in your bra, or would it be indecent? Okay. It's just like right here. Like I just put it and take it out and have it right there.
Why? I want to know something, Lauri, and I'm being honest here.
What?
We've known each other for probably about 15 years, okay?
Yeah, off and on. I don't think we did. There was a stretch of time where we didn't really.
There was like 12 years and we didn't talk. But I wonder what happened in those 12 years, all the drama that I missed out on. But my question is,
I mean, we would say hi to each other.
Yeah, we talk every now and then. Yeah. My question is this. Why is it, after all these years, I still am finding out new shit about you every single time?
I thought you knew. I say I have to grab something from my vault, and then I grab my lip balm.
I don't think I notice.
Remember what? I think you know. I think you just blocked it out. Because when we were eating one time, I said, "Oh, I have to grab something from my vault," and you were like, "Oh my god, what do you call your vault?" And then we had a whole conversation about it. So yeah.
Anyway, okay, RuPaul. So, let me finish this part of the script. RuPaul announces that the teams were previously determined by a random draw. I do not believe that at all, by the way, whatsoever.
There's no way.
No, there's no random my ass. Maybe a guy named Random, the guy that nicknamed Random.
Yeah,
paired the teams.
Gay guy.
Yeah, a gay guy. Like,
Random,
get your ass over here and put these teams together the way we tell you to put them. But anyway, Team 1 was Ms. Cracker, Mariah Paris Balenciaga, and Shea Coulee. Team 2 was Jujubee, India Farah, and Alexis Mateo. And Team 3 was Mayhem Miller and Blair St. Clair. Back in the workroom, the queens brainstormed their signature suites, which must include a welcome basket, signature nightcap, and a room tour. Blair and Mayhem go for glamour, glitter, and gold. Did they consult with you? Because you're the goddess of glamour, glitter, and gold.
I did not get a phone call.
Yeah. Jujubee, India, and Alexis set on a tropical jungle theme, and Cracker, Mariah, and Shea choose to emulate the Golden Girls. Next, the queens are taken to the Maxi Challenge set and are given materials to design their hotel suites. There's a fake moment when Team Shea pretends to start a beef with Team Alexis, but otherwise, nothing of importance happens during that entire segment. Lauri, your thoughts on everything leading up to Elimination Day? We're talking about let's go piece by piece here. What about this thing with Cracker apologizing, Mayhem not buying it and stuff? We discussed that already, though, didn't we?
We kind of discussed it. I said I wanted to go into it a little further because I feel I understand what Miss Cracker is saying. Again, do I think it's right? No, I don't think she should have said anything. In fact, I'm kind of now having the 10 seconds between the break. I've now decided that I agree with Mayhem Miller. I feel like Mayhem Miller kind of said what everybody said, which is that you said it to say you didn't, you meant every word. Like, don't try and backtrack now.
Yeah.
I get that Alexis maybe said, well, not Alexis, Miss Cracker was like, oh, I wish I had said different words, but the sentiment was the same. But then it's like, well, then you don't wish you had said, like you meant what you said.
When we were talking earlier, I wish we had more than a few seconds for me to think about it, because I told you that, so I didn't have enough time. But I am in this pickle where I feel like I don't think Miss Cracker is lying. I don't think she's lying. But I think she's changed. She's rewritten history about why she said it. I still can't figure out why she would, apropos of nothing, if we're going to assume that the edit is correct and there's no producer involvement. Without producer involvement, why would she, out of the blue, just say, hey, I almost kind of want to go back and find that moment. But let's not do that now. Let's.
I legit, and I know this sounds really weird, I feel like the jacket gave her a weird sort of confidence. Like, with that jacket on, that pink fluffy jacket, she had this like weird, like kind of like she felt like she was like, you know how when you put on like a piece of clothing and you're just like, I'm a star. Mm-hmm. I think that jacket gave her that. It was like a Superman's cape, and she just felt like, I gotta right the wrongs, and she just felt like she needed to talk about how she felt. And I will be honest with you, I don't think it was producer driven. I think legitimately Miss Cracker is the type of person who's like, I have to tell you how I feel.
I've actually pulled the audio because I want to solve this right now. I've actually pulled the audio. But because I want to get to the bottom of this, because it seems to be the thing going through this whole episode too, Oh,
okay, you all got a vote. How does that feel?
For the first time ever.
I felt I was up all night because my decision, I don't know if I did the right thing.
Do you think that you voted for the wrong person?
Okay, I'm going to stop right there.
So, and then watch as soon as she doesn't have the jacket on, that's when she's super apologetic.
But then hold on,
I'm gonna end my jacket conspiracy now, because I feel like I'm getting too far into it. But I'm just saying that she apologizes not wearing. I
feel watching more closely though. I feel though like this seems very producer driven, because all of a sudden, apropos of nothing, India stretches her arms on the table and says, "So, you girls all got a vote." And you're like, okay. Why would you randomly bring that up? And then it's just everyone's like, yeah, we got a vote. And then Cracker then just all of a sudden bursts into this. And this is what Blair says, do you think you voted for the wrong person? Here we go.
I feel I should have brought in some whiteout, maybe. Because Angina, Derek, and Mayhem, they believed that they could do it. Mm-hmm. And you didn't believe in yourself. And that's an all-star thing.
Where did that come from? Cracker wants to put my name...
Derek?
Okay. First off, the thing that frustrates me the most is Angina going, where did that come from? It came from you. You were the one who said, I didn't feel confident. Like, you could argue Miss Cracker's point too, but it's infuriating to me that Angina's like, this came out of nowhere.
You know what I'm thinking? I actually think it's not spoken, and I don't know why. I feel all of this could have been not over. Maybe Cracker did say this. I think what the subtext here is, I think I figured it out. Now I'm, quote unquote, kind of Team Cracker. I think where I'm going to criticize Cracker is just, bitch, just fucking put it out there. I think what Cracker is trying to say is the reason he couldn't sleep wasn't because he didn't put Angina's name in. Kind of it is, right? The reason he couldn't sleep was he knew how badly Derek Barry wanted to be there. Okay?
Yeah.
He knew how badly Derek wanted to be there. And the fact that he also knew Angina had already given up. And that Angina still was there, and Derek wasn't. Derek was home. He felt this enormous guilt that this person who really wanted to be there had gone home, and a person who didn't want to be there was still in the competition, and I think that's why he was losing sleep.
Do you think that Angina gave up at that point? She had already given up?
Yeah, because if you remember, we have to go back to episode 1. Angina in the workroom is like really talking about how horrible she was and whatnot, and apologizing for how bad her act was and stuff like that. And who knows?
She said she wasn't confident.
Yeah.
She said I didn't have confidence in myself to win.
So I think that's what it, and I don't know why he's afraid to say it or why they're not showing that, but I think that's what the subtext is. The subtext is, we sent someone home whose career depends on this, wanted to be here. And in fact, what's so funny is the show articulates this point in this episode, in episode 3, when they show every, I'm gonna go back here, when they show everybody talking about who went home, and they show that Angina even voted for herself. I think it's Blair. It was Blair St. Clair in a confessional who said what Cracker's point should have been. Listen, this is after they see that everybody unanimously, including Angina, voted for Angina. Here we go.
All right, let's lay them all out.
1 for Angina, 2 for Angina, 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 Angina.
Unanimous.
I am still angry with her because
now they're angry at Angina.
She just gave up.
She was like doing damage control before it happened.
If I went home and found out someone else gave up, I'd be devastated. This is an opportunity of a lifetime.
That's exactly what it is. If I went home and look at Blair just articulated it. If I went home and I found out someone had given up and I wasn't there, I'd be devastated.
The only thing I think, Joe, the only problem I have with that is that she didn't give up till after the second episode. She gave up after her performance, and she was in the bottom. I think that's when she gave up. You're making it seem like she gave up right at the first episode. But I don't think she gave up that.
But why is Cracker saying that? I don't want to go all the way back to episode 1. But that's what
I'm saying is I think you're putting too much into it. I think she legitimately was just reiterating what Angina said in the first episode. And she even says later on, she said, what I should have told you was you do deserve to be here and you should know that. And I think that
Ms.
Cracker said it in a way to try and light a fire under Angina's butt, and it didn't work. It backfired. And I think that's when Angina started giving up.
I think she started putting a positive spin on what she was saying, right? But still, it's just a positive spin on, bitch, you gave up and Derek Barry, who wants to be here, went home. So
I don't think she gave up, though. I don't think she gave up. She said she just wasn't confident. I think she gave up at the second episode.
I don't know. I can't waste any more tears over this, Lauri.
But, I mean, regardless of that, I do think it's funny that Alexis then jumps in and starts saying, I need to know where everyone's... Like essentially, like, you guys better show that you're real. Well, if not, then there will be consequences. And it was kind of like, okay, Alexis.
Look, here's the proof in the pudding that Alexis is just fucking with Miss Cracker's head. We just heard Alexis on the couch tell the group that she's really angry with Angina for giving up. Okay?
Yeah.
So how can then you be mad at Miss Cracker for being mad at Angina for giving up?
Well, I think there wasn't their argument that she kind of put that in Angina's head, and that kind of what started the whole thing.
Okay, that's great. But don't we see 40 minutes later Alexis lose her shit on Cracker and say to her, listen, bitch, all these other bitches are talking about you behind your back. I'm the only one being real with you and telling you how I feel to your face. Okay? Couldn't Cracker make the same argument about Angina? Hey,
no,
Angina, all these bitches are talking about you, how you've given up. I'm the only one telling you to your face. So Alexis is being two-faced. She is literally doing what Cracker did to Angina. She's doing it to Cracker.
I agree. I think that she's playing to her anxiety. I think Cracker played to Angina's anxiety, and Alexis is doing the same thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and if Alexis were smart, she would just own it. Anyway.
Well, I think it's a justification. I think both of them don't realize that, or won't acknowledge that they're just playing mind games. I think they both think that they're trying to help the other person.
Yeah.
You have to remember, first and foremost, these are men, and men's egos are, like the most fragile things in the world.
Wait, how did we just get there?
Well, I'm just saying, men have fragile egos. So
no, we don't, Lauri. Okay, let's talk about. So then they get the challenge and they make this hotel room. What are your thoughts on this challenge, Lauri?
I mean, I liked it when I heard it. I will say, though, that one thing that frustrated me was they had 2 groups of 3 and then a group of 2. Why didn't they just have, 4 groups of 3? Or 4 groups of 2? Or, 5 groups of 2. Why didn't they just have 2, 2, 2, 2? They could have done that.
Wait, I want you to go back.
I can't do math.
Yeah, substitute teacher Lauri Roggenkamp. Can you go back and do the math? I can't do math.
I think it's 4 groups of 2. Why didn't they have 4 groups of 2? No. Shit. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 groups of 2.
Mm-hmm. You sure about that?
Thank you. Yes, I am. Because you just take off the 2 from the extra ones from the 3, and then you have an extra group.
I don't know.
Was it 5? I don't remember.
Well, probably.
I suck at this. I'm not great with... or 2 groups of 4. Or 1 group of 8. Why not have that?
I think it's a time consideration thing. I think we only want to do 3. And that's the way it's going to be. But what did you think of the challenge in general? Forget the queens in it. Forget the quality. Just as a challenge, what were your thoughts on it?
I think I mentioned this before, but I loved the idea of the challenge. It was the execution that I was frustrated with, because I wanted more. I wanted to see these queens really work on this room and really look like. I loved when they were coming up with the design, coming up with the idea. I liked the little bit that we got to see of them actually working on it. But I would have loved more of it. I wanted to see more. And, so, I was a little frustrated that it didn't, there wasn't more. I really wanted that. So that's it.
All right. Very good. Now I want to talk about the queens on the set. And we've talked about this a little bit before. I'm trying to understand the logic of having us believe that the girls actually painted the set and put it together.
Well, it's the same logic of us believing that they actually, this music that they were singing is the music that they were, singing in the that they recorded is really the music. I mean, it's a weird, what is it called? Like television magic. It's a weird way to showcase television magic where it's like, or magical realness. Sorry. Where it's like, why, who cares who painted it? It's like, well, it would have been nice. I wanted to see a room that Mariah Paris Balenciaga painted. And I wanted to see that. I want to see what that looked like. And I feel cheated in a way.
Well, look, they could totally spin it on as you guys are designers. We want you to come up with the concept and our crack team. And they could even bring in like a pit crew who's not really going to do it, of hot guys and painters. Like, they're going to make your dreams come to life, And
then show them picking, there was I can't think of the name right now, but there was a guy who used to have his own design show and it only lasted about a season.
Yeah.
And it was a very produced show. And the frustration I had with it is that he was in a design competition challenge where he became he was known as a really great designer. And he went through the whole competition and you got to see him actually do work and you got to see him paint and you got to see him design. And then he got his own show and it was so produced that he would go and he would be like, oh, I'm making this chair. And then he would buy a wood that wasn't even the same color as the wood that ended up. And I know you can stain wood, but it was a completely different kind of wood. And it was he would go and buy a table and then you would see the finished product and the table was completely different. And he lived in LA, so he always used like different like LA studios and stuff, which is great. But it was just so you never got to see the work. You never got to see how he did it, and that was so frustrating to me because that's the kind of stuff I want to see them working together as a team, and how they get to the point. And I want to see drama, and I want to see the frustration. I want to see that, and I felt like we got like a tiny glimpse of that. And then it was like the rest was just like, yeah, and then the room's painted.
All right, let's move on. All right, it's Elimination Day, and the girls get ready for the challenge. India worries about being overshadowed. Mayhem thinks Cracker is insincere. Cracker talks through her feelings, and Alexis butts in the conversation. Shay defends Cracker, but Alexis stands up to her and drops the comment that all the other girls are talking about Cracker behind her back, but Alexis is brave enough to tell Cracker to her face. Well, we kind of discussed this in detail, but did you have any big thoughts on this Elimination Day?
I just felt like Alexis was just like, she saw a wounded animal. She saw a wounded deer and she just pounced. You know, she knew that she could like pick at McCracker and that.
Did you just call her McCracker?
Yeah, I said Alexis and I was like, Alexis is not her name. So I said, Cracker. Okay. And so I don't know. I thought it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let it go. You know, move on. Like I just feel like it's like pick a different battle. Like I would have even been happier if she had just started a fight with Shay. Like it's just like just move on from Cracker.
Yeah.
Let's move on now.
Yeah. You know, I feel like we've discussed a lot of this in other parts of the show. I will say that what I was going to say when you were talking, what I was well, first of all, I was thinking about like how I really wanted something to fall on your head, and I would have loved that. Yeah. But also, I was thinking about how is what, and I know we kind of discussed this already. How is what Alexis? There is a reaction right now where people are really mad at Alexis for what she did, right? And I know I've said that I don't know if I necessarily. Oh, I talked about that in Just Between Us Girls, but how much I buy into it, right? But it is true that the editors, at least, want us to see Alexis as the villain and Cracker as this, oh my God, I'm so, anxious about what's going on. When essentially, how is what Alexis did to Cracker fundamentally different from what Cracker did to Angina?
Well, I think the only thing I will say is that at least there was some kind of thread with Alexis.
Yeah.
Like, she followed a thread where she overheard her and Shay talking, and then she said other stuff. Whereas I feel like with Cracker, there was no thread. There was just like, she just all of a sudden goes, she had that locked and loaded.
Yeah, I also
she was going to talk about it.
I've seen people comment on this on Reddit about like, oh my God, she's like right all the way across the workroom. If you ever have a chance to go to a drag con again, and if they have the workroom up, I think they only have it up in LA because the set is right there. It's not that the workroom is tiny. It's not tiny. It's just smaller than you think it is. And I would say Cracker is about maybe 5 feet, maybe 6 feet from Alexis at that point. She's very close. I know exactly where she is. She is really close to where Alexis is. They're closer than what the camera would show you. It really is like,
also, they're like show whispering, which I always like is like not a where it's like, it's how we're talking right now, but they're just talking in like a lower pitch.
Yeah.
So you think that it's not reaching, and it's like, no, people can still hear you.
She's really, she is closer. As someone who's been in the workroom, she's closer than you think she is. I would say about 4 or 5 feet away, maybe 6 feet away. So, which isn't very far. And also, the cameras are only focused on so many conversations. So, of course, Alexis in the mirror sees the lights and the cameras pointed. So, of course, she's eavesdropping. Does that make sense? And like I said, and it's not hard to eavesdrop because they're closer than you think. It's just the camera makes it look, because of the depth of field, that they're much farther away than they are. But they're very, very close to each other. It's almost like if she was in the next booth in a salon, So, all right. Let's go on to the Maxi Challenge. For the Maxi Challenge, Cracker, Mariah, and Shay present Golden Gals Palace and Resort. Alexis, India, and Jujubee go tropical in the Glamazone. And Blair and Mayhem go for gold with the 24-karat experience. Lauri, your thoughts in general about the Maxi Challenge? Like, I mean, we could go one by one, but I think my thoughts are the same for all of them. Like, Golden Gals, did you have any specific thoughts?
Well, okay. I feel like this is how this might not be the best way to explain it, but this is how I've chosen to explain it. It's kind of like I feel like in the season 12 storytelling or one-man show competition, where what they are doing is fine, but it's not the challenge.
Yeah.
They are showcasing a hotel. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I love the theme. I loved every one of them. I thought every one of them was great.
You did?
Yeah, I loved all of them. I thought they all had fun parts to it.
Okay.
Like the what's it called? The pee-pee lounge. What was it called? I thought that was great. I love the Golden Girls room. I thought I love the bedspread. I told Star I wanted to buy that bedspread. I don't think it was the challenge though. I think they were supposed to showcase the hotel and say, here are one of our rooms, but it was almost like they were trying to showcase like an apartment or like you can live here. Like the Golden Girls one felt like a retirement home.
Yeah.
The jungle one felt like a safari. Like you were going on safari and you were going to be doing like you were going to be living there. And the golden one felt like it was like they wanted you to live there. Like they wanted you to live at
like a retirement home.
Yeah. Like I didn't feel like I was being sold on a hotel. I felt like I was being sold on a timeshare. So that's how I felt.
This is one of those cases.
But I liked all of them.
This is one of those cases where I agree with the judges, where I didn't see really, maybe a little bit with Mariah, but how Shay or Cracker were in any way channeling their respective Golden Girls characters. Like I saw very little Dorothy in there, and I saw very little Rose in what Cracker was doing. And even Mariah was she was just being a slut. It's almost like they only thought, well, someone's a slut, you know?
Yeah, and it's like somebody it's like right before camera came on, Mariah's like, I've never seen the Golden Girls. And somebody's like, oh, she's a slut. And she's like, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And also, the judge, what they were trying to get across, because they say, oh, these people came to their final rest in these places, Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra or something like that, right? And it's one of these things where it's like, well, is it a hotel? You're right. Or is it a retirement home? Is it a hospice? What is this? And all they did was make standard issue hacky old people jokes, which I think we discussed this earlier. I can't believe I don't remember because it was just, like 30 minutes ago. But it
it was so short ago. I
can't believe my memory's really going. But it's they didn't do any Golden Girls. The Golden Girls weren't. It's not like being old is all the Golden Girls talk about. It's mostly not of what they talk about. They have very distinct characters and personalities that you could play it, but it wasn't about being old.
Yeah, it's like if you were anywhere, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. No, the family didn't talk about all the time about being black.
Yes.
Like they just lived their lives.
Exactly.
Like, it was like the Golden Girls didn't talk about what it's like to be. I mean, there were circumstances that came up that made them address the being old, but they never nobody was like, oh, I'm an old person and this is what old people do. I don't know.
What's really funny, and this is not a Golden Girls recap, but Rue McClanahan at the start of the Golden Girls was either younger or around the same age that like Sandra Bullock and Jennifer Aniston are now. That was considered old then.
Really?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see how old. Who do you want, Jennifer Aniston or Sandra Bullock?
Sandra Bullock. I feel like Sandra Bullock is younger.
So Sandra Bullock is 55 years old. Okay.
55? No shit. Yeah. Oh my God.
McClanahan.
If you told me she was 38, I'd believe you.
Hanahan.
I don't know why. I should be better.
start of Golden Girls. She was 53 when she started the Golden Girls.
Jeez.
Yeah. Jennifer Aniston is 51. So Jennifer Aniston still has a couple of years. But, I mean, that's what they were. I mean, if you're thinking about Sandra Bullock and Jennifer Aniston, that's how old Rue McClanahan was. That's what they were considering the Golden Girls. You know?
Yeah. Somebody brought up this before, and producer Luke brought it up again. I forgot to address it, but somebody said the backdrop for the Golden Girls room was the same print as Shay's entrance look and her backdrop for DragCon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe that's what it was. Now, what are your thoughts on the jungle one or the gold one?
I liked him. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, you know, we could always go back to the whole thing of like, there's no way that they actually did it. But yeah, I like the way it looked.
Yeah, well, why would we go back to that, Lauri? We just talked about that just a few minutes ago.
I know. I liked it. I liked them. I mean, they were all it's like, you know, they had a professional do it. So, of course, it's going to look good.
But I guess my point is I found myself losing interest within a minute of each one. I felt they all ran about a minute or two too long.
Well, that was the thing that I thought was so weird, which is what we addressed in such a short time ago, which is that, okay, if they didn't work on the room, then they must have worked on their presentation. So why were their presentations so like, and this is, we do this. And this is where this is where you pick up the phone. It was just so, it was like, I was like, what, why are you guys, it looked literally like they were like, all right, you got 10 minutes. Yes. What are you going to do?
Yes. That's exactly what it felt like. And also like India's like, God, I don't want to be overshadowed. I don't want to be overshadowed. I don't want to be overshadowed. And then India in the background just quietly like, golden shower head. You know, it was just like, no personality. I mean, the only one I thought that was really good, so she deserved the win. Jujubee had some really good lines.
Jujubee was funny. Yeah. Which, I mean, we'll get to it, which is why I feel weird that they picked the Golden Group to win, but the Golden Group was the best.
By the way, not the Golden Girls, the 24 karat experience.
24 karat, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but it's hard to explain, yeah.
So I was like, just pick the queen. Like, just I thought that was such a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
All right, very good. Look, I'll give my opinion right now. I thought they were all boring. The end.
I thought they looked great. I thought they looked great. I would have liked to have seen more. I would have liked it to have been a whole hotel. Like, look, I've stayed at enough hotels to know that hotel commercials are very weird. And I would have loved there to be a whole hotel commercial. I would have loved a green screen. I would have loved, like bang it out. They could have done a great job. But I just felt like they just didn't do enough.
All right. Well, Lauri, I got big news for you. It's time for the looks. Category is 3 looks in 1. Now, the good thing is that neither you nor I like to talk about the looks. So I have some general notes, but what do you have?
I mean, I liked all of them, to be honest with you. There wasn't any, though. Actually, there was, there were 2 that I thought were good, and I was shocked that they got judged so harshly, and I thought that was Shay and Mariah Paris Balenciaga. I didn't see why they had to be judged so harshly.
What I'm going to say right now is either a good thing and they should do this more often, or a bad thing. The title is so vague that there could be different interpretations of what 3-in-1 looks means. And you see 2 different interpretations on the runway. It seemed like the girls that got it right were the ones that they got because they got the most praise, were reveal after reveal after reveal. Right? And the ones that seemed to get the most criticism were the ones that were like here's the same outfit in one version, two versions, and three versions. Does that make sense? So, like, for instance, India is a perfect example here. Even though her look was terrible for other reasons, it was the same look and the same everything, except it would go in different ways. But it was the same essential color, theme, and everything, right? And I don't blame India. I mean, you can blame her for a lot because it just looked cheap. But I think she interpreted it one way. I also think Mariah interpreted it the same way and did a better job at it, but it was still the same essential color scheme, but just like different, turning the outfit into different parts by taking things off and putting them on. What's funny is on the judges' critiques, the judges critique Mariah Paris Balenciaga and say, well, all you really did for that first look was take off a jacket, which is true. But what's funny is, I think even more egregious, Mayhem did that. Like, because at least Mariah was like a very prominent jacket. Mayhem's first look was a jacket that you could barely tell that she even took off a part of her clothing. So I don't know. Maybe they did give her the same critique and we didn't see it. But I thought Mayhem was worthy of the same critique.
That was my frustration. Is I felt like it just, to me, I felt like it more showcased who the judges liked, because I feel like they all had, like, to me, similar reveals in certain ways.
Yeah.
And it just was like, and depending on what drag queen, they would be like, I love this, or I didn't like that. And it was like, I don't feel like there was a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I liked them. I thought they were all great. I really don't have any, I mean, I'm terrible to judge for outfits, so.
Yeah. Neither you nor I should judge for outfits. Okay, Lauri, any other thoughts on the looks?
I mean, unfortunately, I will say this. I think this is where Blair shines. I felt like she really edged out. I thought she looked great. And so I think that, I think she'll have a long, she might go longer than people think because she looks so good on the runway.
All right, very good. Well, that's going to do it for the looks. Blair, over on the main stage, Blair and Mayhem are the winning team, but Jujubee wins the spot of top All-Star of the Week for her individual performance. Jujubee, Blair, and Mayhem are dismissed from the stage, and Alexis Mateo and Miss Cracker are safe, which leaves India Ferris, Shea Coulee, and Mariah Paris Balenciaga vulnerable for elimination. Now, before the lip sync, the queens return to the workroom for cocktails. Shea is gooped and gagged that she's in the bottom. India is sick of being in the bottom and gets emotional thinking about the possibility of being sent home. Shea pleads for the other queen's respect, and Alexis points out that Shea got the worst critiques. Mariah expresses her appreciation to Cracker for being in a group with her, and finally the queens chose their lipsticks. Lauri, I think I might have a list of who chose what lipstick, but what were your thoughts on everything that happened backstage during the jury moment?
I did think it was funny that India was trying, like, I think I've told you before, but there's this improv game called Oscar Moment, and it's where you do people are doing a scene, so they're improvising a scene together, and then the director will call. There's a couple ways they can do this. They'll either put the spotlight on you, or they'll call the person. So, like, if I'm in, they'll be like, Lauri, Oscar Moment. So just be an innocuous scene of me, like, sitting at a table with my family, and then I have to, like, do an Oscar Moment. And I feel like legitimately felt like as soon like somebody from the back said, India, Oscar Moment. And she goes, I've been working my whole life. It's just like, where did that come from?
Lauri, Oscar Moment.
You sit here and you tell me that I don't know how to run first response. Well, I gotta tell you, my first response to you is I try my hardest to make everybody feel special. Everybody feel safe. Because that's how I was raised. And that's how I'm gonna keep doing the show, whether you like it or not, Mr. Betance. So you can kick me off.
Oh, sorry.
So you can kick me off, or you can keep me, but I'm still gonna be me. Thank you.
Wow. That was really
Joe.
good. Yeah.
Oscar performance.
I remember when I was sitting there and I got those emails. The emails were like, please, Joe, I have a sick mother at home, and the only joy in life that I get is listening to you and Lauri. And you've taken that from me. Do you know what that's like, Lauri? Do you know what it's like to let, little Elizabeth Warden down? That she's at home, not being happy? That she's bored? And you're sitting there laughing at me with that cackle? Well, I'm going to tell you what, Lauri. I have one thing to say. Attica! 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 That's right, Lauri. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to shout that until you leave the first response, and maybe one day this country can laugh one more time. Thank you. I don't even know what I was saying there.
I love that Elizabeth Warren is the one who emailed me.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren.
Potential presidential nominee.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren.
She's a big fan of the show. Elizabeth Warren is a big fan of the show. Didn't you know that?
I heard rumors.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. That was okay. Oh, that was. I thought you were telling me. Okay. All right.
I was done. I know usually I tend to meander, but yeah. I was actually done with that.
All right. Well, here we go. So for what they showed us on the episode, Cracker voted for Mariah, Alexis voted for Shay, Mayhem voted for Shay, Mariah voted for India, and India voted for Mariah. Neither one voted for Shay. You know what I want to talk about right here, and just because this came up, is I wanted to talk about the politics, because a lot of people, like the Pit Crew boys, are wondering this, and we've heard people discuss, wouldn't the smart move be to get rid of Shay? I mean, she is the biggest competition. This is your chance now to take her down and take down a giant.
Look, this is my nightmare. I have said since the beginning, since last episode, because the first episode I wasn't a fan of Shay. And then I was like a huge fan of Shay's. And this has been my nightmare, that Shay is going to get in the bottom and then they're going to get rid of her. Mm-hmm. Now, do I want that to happen? No. But logistically, that is what should have happened. They should have voted Shay out. In the competition, you vote out the weaker. You vote out your competition.
Yeah.
I feel like with competition shows, there is an unwritten rule where you want the strongest to rise up and then compete against each other. But I feel like the shows that have the seasons that have people who are like, I don't give a shit about the rules. I'm voting off whoever is in my way, whoever I feel like is in my way. And if it's a top dog, it's a top dog. If they allow themselves to get to the bottom to be voted off, I'm getting rid of them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I think those are end up being the best seasons. Because then it's like, who's going to go? Who's going to win? If Shay had left, it would have changed the game. It would have lit. And I honestly feel like the producers did that because they wanted it to move. They wanted her to move up. Is this my Oscar moment? Mm-hmm. Okay. You gotta go. I understand the competition, Shay. I understand. But you know what? We don't want you anymore, Shay. Go on. Get out of here, Shay. Get out. Go. All right? Don't turn around. I don't want to see your face anymore. You need to go.
Well, Well, this is what I would say. Is that what you're saying is true if the show exists in a vacuum. Okay? But so like on a show like Survivor or The Amazing Race or any other, well, they don't vote people on The Amazing Race, but Survivor is a good one where you vote people out. It's like afterwards, in theory, whether you win or not, you're going back to your old life. You're not going to go around performing. But these queens, this is supposed to help launch their career, and so they have to think about their career post Drag Race. And so they realize, because they've seen it happen in the past, that if they vote off a fan favorite or someone who's deemed worthy of being there, the fans are going to come for them. And so they have to think strategically outside of the show. What someone said on the first response yesterday, and I thought was really smart, was that they think, because a lot of people are then like, well, okay, I get that argument, but then India was clearly the weakest person, so why don't you just vote her off? And someone wisely said, and I don't remember who it was, and I'm so sorry, is that what they think happened is that they calculated Mariah is the strongest competitor that we can vote off, which we won't receive any blowback for it. You know?
I think that was Spiral Queen or Nick. I think that either one of those two, or maybe they both said the same thing. But yeah, I once that was said, I agreed, because I do feel like, I think India's the only saving grace for India is that she's non-threatening. You know, people know that if they're in the room with her, that odds are she's probably going to go home.
Yeah.
You know,
mm-hmm.
Like if you have India and Jujubee, I mean, there's no contest.
Yeah, you're right. Very good. All right, back on the main stage, RuPaul reveals this week's Lip Sync Assassin All-Star Season 4 joint winner, Monet X Change. She goes head-to-head with first-time Maxi Challenge winner Jujubee. The song, Juice by Lizzo. The winner, Monet X Change. Monet X Change reveals that the queen to be voted out is Mariah Paris Balenciaga, Lauri Roggenkamp. Any final thoughts on the episode? What do you think of the lip sync? What do you think of Monet X Change? What do you think, are any thoughts that we didn't get to today?
We mentioned this before, but I would love. Do you think you could pull up the lip sync? Maybe we could see it. There is a legit moment where Monet X Change and Jujubee are dancing together, and Jujubee looks legit terrified.
Unfortunately, I already closed that out.
Oh, okay. I'll love to find it if I could do a boomerang or something, because she just looks like she's like, I don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little saddened because, look, I think Monet X Change came out looking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
She did such a good job. And I felt like Jujubee just kind of like winged it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? She obviously didn't know the words, which is hard because that song's been on everywhere. I knew more words to the song than Jujubee did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just felt.
Do you think that's the reason perhaps she was? Do you think that's the reason perhaps she was nervous?
What, nervous about what? Sorry.
Mm-hmm. About that she didn't know the words.
Yeah, she could have been nervous. Yeah, that she didn't know the words.
What do you think of the notion that some people have put out there that that Jujubee threw in the towel, so to speak, because she didn't want to be responsible for sending somebody home?
I don't know. I don't really see it because I don't feel like, unless it was Shay, I don't really feel like she had to worry about it. Yeah. So if we had seen that she was going to send Shay home, maybe. But between India and Mariah, I don't feel like there was really, there was a reason for it to throw it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she threw it because she just didn't want to have to deal with the backlash. And who knows? But I don't know. I think she just wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Okay. Any other final thoughts?
Overall, I hope that next episode, I hope we get to see like some, I think the episodes have been getting better and better. And I hope that next episode we get to see more like collaboration. I like that. Mm-hmm. And I hope we get to see like the full extent of it. I hope we get to see if they make something, see what it looks like, But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see who who's at the bottom, because I feel like even though Shay didn't get voted off, even though she's in the bottom, it does show that this is a cutthroat competition.
Yeah.
And they are not pulling. The judges will put you in the bottom as soon as look at you. So they do not play. They're not really playing favorites to me, in my opinion. So.
Well, one more thing before we go. Imagine that you're a contestant on Drag Race, right? On this very episode, and you're with the girls alone. No Shay, no India, no Mariah. Give me the Oscar moment where you're trying to convince everybody to vote for Shay. Are you going to be able
to vote for Shay?
You want to convince them to vote. You want to give them that big end of the movie speech to vote for Shay to get rid of her on the jury.
To get rid of her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
And who's in the room with me?
All the other contestants, all the other drag queens. You're going to the jury room to vote.
Except for Shay.
Except for Shay and except for Mariah and India.
Except for Mariah. Okay.
It's just all the other girls who are voting.
All right.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Here we go. Lauri Roggenkamp in Drag Race.
I look at all of you and I see winners. We have 3 ladies that we have to choose from. Now we know India could go home. Mariah could go home. But let's talk about Shay. I know, Mayhem, I know that you're looking at me. But everybody has picked Shay to be the winner.
Yeah.
You know it, and I know it. Miss Cracker, look at me. You know that we have all are just running for second place. And I say now, at this moment, we have a chance to tell everybody, you don't get to pick the winners. We pick the winners. Let's tell them that it is our chance. It is not predetermined. We get to decide. Let's vote for Shay. And it's not racist. Okay. Alexis, I know what you're thinking. No, I think Shay is amazing. I think she is a true champion. But this is a competition, goddammit. And I want you to look inside yourself and I want you to tell yourself, do you think you could win against Shay? Do you honestly think you could win against Shay? Mayhem, why are you nodding? I'm telling you right now. We get rid of Shay today, we have a chance tomorrow to make history. Now let's go out there and let's vote for Shay. Not because she deserves it, but she deserves to lose. But because we deserve a chance to win. Now huddle up. Hands in. Clear hearts. Clear heads. Full hearts. Let's get rid of Shay!
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of You don't have the music play while I do that. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 5. So, for Lauri Roggenkamp and myself,
you better sashay away until next week. Because next week is for champions.
Okay. Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Drag Race Recap. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can follow Lauri Roggenkamp on Twitter at PickleMyth. She also has other podcasts like The Bloody Podcast and Lauri and Colin Have an Episode. They're available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also support Lauri on Patreon at patreon.com/bloodypodcast. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram at Joe Betance. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.